So after a 5-year hiatus and coming off a devastating injury, we get to see what Conor McGregor looks like. And is he catching Max Holloway at a good time?
You don't know.
Or maybe Holloway is catching McGregor at a good time. Conor is 37, Max is 34. The fight is being contested at 170 pounds. Max is a little bit taller, listed at 5'11", and Conor listed at 5'9". Conor has a frame built for a deceptive reach, especially when he was fighting at featherweight. He has a 74-inch reach opposed to Max's 69-inch reach, which Max calls...
I'm a T-Rex. They call me T-Rex in the gym. I'm like 6 feet, but my arm reach is like 5'9".
The odds right now show Max as a moderate favorite, Conor a slight underdog. A few fights I rewatched and focused most closely on was their first fight, and then Conor's latest fights against Dustin Poirier. Their first fight was actually super good. It was a nice rewatch. Max looked rigid, but overall a fairly good game plan. Ultimately, Max lost a decision, but in that loss were small moments of success that I think would sort of come to define McGregor's first loss to Poirier, in my opinion. There are plenty of differences in style between Holloway and Poirier, of course, fundamentally their stances, but also their snapshots in time fighting McGregor. What I like that Max Holloway did was disrupt Conor's stance and rhythm with leg kicks. He eventually started finding Conor with the jab in his left hand. What's really interesting is when Conor would close the distance with Max against the cage, he would throw his left and frame, but Max was able to read this and counter off the attack with his right hand. Again, this wouldn't win him the fight, but it does show that even during the rise of Conor and Conor's style being much more refined, Max was able to find success within that fight. 8 years later, we would see something similar with Dustin Poirier, but with devastating consequences for Conor because it would lead to him losing by knockout. Conor was a favorite in that fight too. A key difference between Dustin Poirier's second fight with Conor McGregor and their third, which was also McGregor's most recent fight, was that Conor looked much closer to the version of himself who was still on the rise. He threw far more kicks, moved more fluidly on the feet, and still showed that boxing heavy style that had become central to his game later on. What remains the same all throughout is how Conor's best moments are when his opponents feel they can hit Conor, and then he slides out of the way and counters with this left straight. He also has a sneaky right hand, which sometimes can be kind of a shovel punch. So Conor McGregor, back after 5 years and at 170. What will his pace and tempo look like? How hesitant will he be to throw kicks? Max Holloway only builds momentum, and Conor generally falls off in round 2. I don't think there's any question that Max Holloway is past his prime, but he is still tough. Tough opponents are a challenge for Conor McGregor. I mean those who can take the heat and keep on coming back. And one major difference in this fight is that it's 5 rounds. I do feel a little bit of pause about picking Max Holloway, and it's probably mostly because of his fight with Ilia Topuria. Ilia, disciplined striker, knockout power, and he sent a very mobile volume striker with really good cardio to the mat. I did pick Ilia Topuria to win that fight, but I don't quite feel the same way about Conor McGregor's chances. What gives me more confidence is Holloway's fights against Dustin Poirier, because Dustin Poirier is a southpaw. For what it's worth, Conor physically looks good. He's kept a fairly quiet camp. He's had a decent amount of time away from competing to heal the fractured tibia and fibula and his broken toe. I've heard about 9 solid months of consistent training, which I don't think is insignificant. It's impossible to know how consistent he was, even if he did put a bed in his gym. In summary, this fight will be shades of Conor Diaz 1, I think. Max takes the punches, Conor McGregor gasses, and then Max takes over. Conor has moments that have been good in his last few fights, but to compare that to how he has looked in his prime, it hasn't been good. And Max Holloway may be past his prime as well, but his performances have been very good. You add 5 years of unknowns to Conor, and he's not being disciplined enough to cut down to 155, and I think we get a Conor that might have those good moments before he ultimately gasses out. So no surprise here, give me Max Holloway by a decision or a stoppage in the later rounds. And I feel like if Conor wins, obviously the first route is going to be through a knockout in the early rounds, round 1 or 2. But if the fight continues and he has the cardio for it, he would have to control Max, I think, and he would have to try to wrestle him much like Charles Oliveira did. Try to wear on him, try to find moments on the ground where he can take a breath. But I just don't think over the course of 5 rounds we're going to see Conor McGregor all the way to the end. And if we do see him at the end, I don't think he's going to be on the winning side.